What was the biggest takeaways that you took from spending a whole day with Alex Hermosy?
This is interesting. The biggest takeaway that I learned is to shut the fuck up
Good.
because I wanted to win his respect so badly that I spoke too much.
Unlock the secret sauce of millionaire entrepreneurs. This is your exclusive VIP pass to the hidden world of the ultra successful business owners. I'm Chad Kodary, CEO of DashClicks, and welcome to Behind the Revenue. What is going on, everybody? We are on another episode of Behind the Revenue. I have my good friend on with us today, Roger Yelvington, and he's got an awesome company called AdLaunch. He's got experience in the agency space. He's owned gyms before. Like, this dude's been all around just straight entrepreneur, straight business mogul. I'm super excited to bring him on. Roger, if you can, just tell for some context, who are you? What do you do? Just give us a little background on yourself.
I'm one of those lifelong entrepreneurs, man. I knew at 16 that that was that was where I was going to end up is running my own business. I don't know if it's a problem with authority sometimes, but whatever that line is, I knew that I was going to be in that entrepreneurial zone. Just digging in from an early age, and I kind of cut my background a little bit with banking. That was actually a really good foundation. I've started the career in banking, and I ended up being a small business banker because that's where my passion was. So then I'm working with all these, then they put me in wealth management for small businesses. So it's like that was a great foundation for me to learn and still kind of scratch that entrepreneurial bug a little bit, until I ended up opening up the gyms and real estate and a few other ventures. But
And you had like actual brick and mortar gyms, right? I remember you
yeah,
telling me.
yeah. So I'm
How'd
I'm
the
a brick and
gyms
mortar
go?
guy at first, and then about 5 years ago started transitioning over into the digital agency world, because of scalability. Right? I was like, well, I could put another $500,000 into a fourth gym, or I can build a scalable digital business. And at the time I was working with about 50 gyms, has a
Wow.
side hustle because I took on my own gym marketing, right? Because I wasn't happy with how it was going. And then all of a sudden, other gym owners, and word spreads, and I've got 50 clients that I'm side hustling while I still have the gyms. And I was like,
Wow. That kind of like reminds me of of like Alex Hermosy, like the whole gym launch secrets, where he was, he started his own gyms, and then after that, basically started doing marketing and consulting, basically for the gyms, running their ads and all that stuff.
yeah, his approach, and I actually looked at applying Gym Launch. He was definitely an innovator in the field for the whole fitness space, obviously. And so, I think applying a lot of those principles, and I'm humble enough to say I learned from Alex.
Oh
Um,
yeah, me too.
actually, it was back when he was more affordable, but I paid 10 grand and I got a 1 day onboarding into his Allen software, which I don't think is his biggest success. I don't think that but it enabled me to interface with him for a whole day, 8 hours
Wow.
with a lunch break for 10
Yeah.
grand. And it's
What
like,
and what was Alan? It's funny because this is a funny story. About, I want to say maybe 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, um, I get a I see in Calendly, because I have my Calendly open. I see all of our booked call that comes in for Dashlicks, like for demos and stuff like that. And I see Alex Hermosy, and I'm like, okay, this is strange. Is this really Alex Hermosy, or is this some another
right,
person named Alex Hermosy? Right? Like, what's
right,
going on here? Right? Um, and I get the booking, and I tell my account executive, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take over this call, and I'm gonna show up to it, and just let me take it, because if it is him, that would be really cool.
right.
So I ended up showing up to the call, and it was Alex. He was on the call, and I demoed Dashlicks for about 45 minutes. We realized that at the time where we were wasn't a good fit for exactly what he was looking for. I recommended some other softwares, kind of point him in the right direction and help him out. But it was really cool, because he's such like a high level thinker almost. Um, But it was
He really is.
it was a cool, funny story. Just a random thing that happened. So you
Yeah.
spent, and the reason why I was telling you this is because I remember he was telling me at the time. I don't know if maybe he was just trying to like do some R&D into other
I
software
think he was
companies.
doing
Yeah,
now that
because
you
he was.
say it, I'd have to look
Yeah,
at the year that I did that, but I bet it was around the time he was getting ready to do this
yeah,
Allen play.
yeah. So what was Alan exactly? Because I
So
remember him saying something about that on the call.
Allen was it was an AI assistant, right? When AI was in its early stages, and he said, it's basically it was an appointment setting where it simplified things. So you got all these leads being generated, and Alan would take over and set it, and so you would sell based off of appointments. The whole idea was to sell gym services and say, look, you can pay me per appointment of people that walk through the door, so there's no risk to you. So kind of trying to make it like the whole, making them offer so good they feel dumb
Yeah,
saying no.
yeah.
Like, what gym owner is going to say no to paying for somebody that's walked through their doors $50, $75, whatever the cost was, because then it's on them to sell it, but at least we got them through the door. But I
You
think they were just a little early to that game, and a lot
Was
of
it
issues
good?
with it working properly or easily, or whatever the aim was. But
I mean, you paid the 10K and you spent the day with him. How was that?
I
Honest feedback, dude. If it
oh
wasn't, I
yeah,
mean,
I
he's
mean,
a
I
successful
look,
person. I don't
I
think he
love
cares.
no, I really like uh I like everything Alex puts out, his books. I mean, I'm not a fanboy, right? But the man makes a lot of sense, right? And he opens up a way of thinking that I think is really healthy for any business owner. But when it comes to the actual product, Alan, it was it was a little too complex from a standpoint of integrating it with current systems, and I was like I was the one of the first 10 that bought it,
Oh, so
so
you
I
were
was
really
really
early.
early.
Yeah. Are they still
Yes,
even open? Do they still have it, or did he sell it?
it had so little value to me in the long run that I just kind of aborted it. And
Yeah.
I mean, I probably still have a license. I know that he did sell it, and with that said, I probably could have gotten more value out of it, but things were going really, really well with how I already had my shop set up. I was just looking for an easy kind of add in, and then also the ability to, pick his brain for a day. So I was like, oh,
So
win
how
win.
was that?
Yeah,
So what'd you
it
learn in
was
that day?
cool.
What
It
was
was
like the
cool.
biggest what was the biggest takeaways that you took from spending a whole day with Alex Hermosy?
This is interesting. The biggest takeaway that I learned is to shut the fuck up,
Good.
because I wanted to win his respect so badly that I spoke too much. I wanted to give opinions. Oh, well, here's what I'm thinking about doing, blah, blah, blah. And granted, in my defense, it was before Alex was Alex.
Yep.
He was just, gym launch guy. And I definitely had a lot of respect. So I wanted to earn that respect by showing value. And the lesson learned was I spent 10 grand. I didn't spend 10 grand to get him to like me or to respect me. I spent 10 grand because this is a person that has achieved a certain level of success, and I can learn from this person. And I spent too much of my time with pride and ego trying to position myself. And it was just, I learned not to do that going forward.
Okay, fair enough. So you went from having gyms to then servicing about 50 people in your agency, right? We'll call it an agency because 50 clients is more than a lot of agencies that I know. And
Yeah.
then do you still have your agency, or did you kind of weed out of that?
No, I still have it. What I did is I still have some clients that we service, right? And I just stopped selling the service, and
Gotcha.
because the focus can't be on, because there is a lot of churn, but the clients that you have that you service really, really well, I've had clients for over 4 years, right? Or since the
Yep.
beginning, and it's just mostly lead generation services.
And
And
it's gyms, still
what's
gyms,
that?
mainly gyms,
Yeah, mainly gyms, but it's all fitness related
fitness related.
businesses.
Gotcha. And
Yep. And
then
yeah, go ahead.
no, so I want to just keep. I'm going to dive even deeper because so you went brick and mortar business owner, then you went into the agency space, and now you have a software that you just created and just recently launched. I think you might still be in beta, and
Yeah.
it's called AdLaunch, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what does AdLaunch do?
So when I got into the agency space, I immediately recognized that there's a lot of agency owners that don't know what the hell they're doing. And they're just in this because they're just like, oh, I can do this from home, or easy barrier to entry, right? And so early on, I was like, man, they really need more structure. And I felt like I had a good background between banking and then also being a local business owner, that I had some lessons learned that I could apply into this space. With that said, I tried to solve too big of a problem at first. I wanted to solve all the operational issues in a software and build a software. That I actually had the software idea right when I started my agency. And needless to say, wasted time, effort, and money. It was too heavy of a lift because I'd never built software before. And so I had to put a pin in it. I shelved that project. It was called Agency HQ. And it was going to do all the things that there was a gap in the market for operationally, like proposals, contracts, billing, before Go High Level or Dashlix, before anybody did that stuff, right? For the whole picture.
Yep.
Retention wasn't even touched anywhere. Like, nobody's retaining clients. And the reason I wanted to is because all these agencies, I would meet these young guys. They're like, yeah, I'm making like 50 grand, 70 grand, 80 grand. I'm like, whoa, let's break that down. And then by the time we had a call, it's like, oh yeah, I'm only making 5 grand, 10 grand. Like, it's like, there was no retention. There was no process. They didn't know how to build a business. They just knew how to sell and market themselves. And honestly, I don't have much respect for that, right? I've got respect for building a business that's an actual business, not your ability to say that you can fulfill a service, your ability to actually fulfill a service.
Yep. Truth.
And that is a big differential between, to me, an entrepreneur and a business person in the digital space, and somebody that just wants to come in and make a quick buck. Like, and for somebody that wants to come in and make a quick buck, I don't fault them. Everybody wants to chase opportunity, but they need to be presented with a better structure or a better process on how to do it. And everywhere you look at in the marketplace for how to start an agency, it's all about sales.
Mainly a lot of it, because I think that's where most people struggle with. That's like the first domino.
It's the first thing they struggle with, and it's the most exciting thing.
Yeah.
It's not exciting to talk about how to retain a client, right?
Yeah. And you know what? I have some real stats on that. I'll actually share that too, as I'll piggyback off what you're saying here. First year we opened Dashlix, I did a webinar every week for 52 weeks straight, live webinar, for hundreds of people would show up. And I talked about so many different topics. Any topic that was related to prospecting or sales or anything related to closing new business, the registration and sign-up rate would go through the roof. Like, we would have 400 or 500 people live on a webinar. Anytime I did a webinar that was focused on retention or customer service or like the back end, like after you actually get your client, you can cut the numbers by like 2/3. Nobody would show up, right? And the reason for that, it's not sexy. And on top of that, the reason for that is most people, most agencies, they're struggling with getting clients, and that's what that's what they want to be educated on. They're not even mentally there yet of, oh, I have clients, now I need to figure out how to keep them. A lot of agencies are not even in that mindset, right? You have to actually sign up some clients and go through and go through the ringer here a little bit in order to even think about retention. Like, these guys don't know what that is. I would say probably 90% of agencies, and we have a lot of data on agencies, as you can imagine, in Dashlix. We sign up thousands of agencies every single month that come onto our platform.
Right.
I can tell you that probably 90% of the agencies, at least that we see, are brand new agencies that come off of somebody sold them a course, or they saw a coaching program that they wanted to get into, or they saw some ads online and bought some education material on how to start your own digital marketing agency, or SMMA, like kind of like a Tai Lopez style thing, right?
Right.
Hey, real quick, if you're a marketing agency or a B2B service or software provider, Dashlix offers white label fulfillment services and software to businesses just like yourself. go ahead and create your free Dashclicks account. I went ahead and left a link in the show notes, or you could just go to dashclicks.com. And then they go and they are now entering the world of agencies. And that's why, by the way, that's why the world of agencies is trending, and it's still trending so heavily, right? Because everybody wants to open up their own marketing agency, right? It's a big trend in the digital space, right? Owning your own digital marketing agency, right? There's thousands and hundreds of thousands of courses and education materials, all related just on opening your own marketing agency, right? So that's why I think 90% of the market is newbies. And that's why anytime you do anything that's related to how to get a client, how to, get more leads booked on your calendar, like those, dude, those are the topic. I literally just did a webinar. Was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. I just did a live webinar yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday. We had about 300 and something people register, and there was about 150-ish, maybe close to 200, maybe at its peak, showed up on the actual call. And the topic was how to get 80 new clients per month for your marketing agency. And that was the first webinar that I've done in like 6 months, maybe even more than that, right? So it was like fresh. Usually, like when I do webinars and they're recurring weekly, the momentum builds, and you have the same people keep showing up, and then you just have more people and more people as you keep doing it. Like when I did the 52 straight, I started off with like 10 people on my webinar, and then next week it was 50 people and 100 people, and it just kept rolling in, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm saying this is because it's such a topic for these guys where they want to know more, and they were so engaged that the retention on the webinar, like, dude, these people stayed all the way until the end. They are trying to figure out how to land their first client or their first couple of clients, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
just to add some like data and validation to what you're saying, like it's truth, like that's what it is. People don't care about retention.
Yeah. And you don't, I mean, I guess one way to look at it is, you don't care about, you don't decorate a cake before you bake it. You got to bake the
Yep.
cake and then
Exactly.
decorate it. Right.
Exactly.
And really, who wants a cake with no icing? But also who wants a cake that hasn't been baked? So,
There you go.
so I think you've got to have, but you can't have one without the other. And so it's just, I think when you're selling and catering and providing services to a marketplace like agency owners, and you have this influx of agencies that have never sold anything and they want to spend money to try and figure it out. And then you have the smaller percentage that actually have sold and need to retain. Uh, you know, it's like, well, which ocean do you want to go after, right?
Yep. So let's keep going with this. So I know you came from, so now you have your software AdLaunch, right? So a little bit more into the journey. You have your software AdLaunch. You went in beta. I know you signed up your first couple of beta users, which is awesome. How's that going so far? I mean, how does it feel to be in the first iteration of a live software with users? I remember that feeling. It's exciting. Like, what are you going through right now? What are the types of challenges and really awesome moments that you're just experiencing right now?
Yeah, well, AdLaunch it's been great because it's allowing me to go all in on everything I've learned as an entrepreneur and a marketer and a business owner to serve and solve one problem and try to be the best at solving that problem. And it resonates because I think we take for granted sometimes the things we know versus what our target audience knows. I would think that all agencies would know how to run ads and media buying in a certain way, but the reality is that they don't. Right? They offer the service, but they don't know how to fulfill it. And that's the eye-opening thing. Is I'm jumping on these calls, and I'm assuming that all these agencies know how to run ads, but they don't. Right? And some of them do, and those are great conversations because that's what this is done. You asked about the beta users.
Yep.
I want to give a lot of credit to Ross Christofoli because had he not posted, he saw the software, he loved it, he posted about it. He just shared it. Didn't talk to me, didn't ask me about it. Just said, "Oh yeah, check this out." And then I started getting all of these demos. I wasn't even planning on selling it for a while.
How many demos? Share the numbers. I remember you shared it with us, and I thought it was fucking awesome, dude. How many
Yeah,
demos Ross did a post on his Facebook page, or I think on his
yeah,
group, whatever it was. Right? I think you were getting scheduled calls, right? Is that what it was?
yeah. I was getting so I put in a booking link, and then started getting messages about it, and I just said, you know what, I'll do a lifetime deal for a limited number of seats for right now, and and cap it off. And so I did. I think I scheduled over the course of about 10 days, like 24 demo calls.
All from
Every
Ross.
What's that?
All from Ross's post.
Well, I think about 16 of them were from Ross's post,
Wow.
right? And then a lot of them, and some of them were referrals of people that had signed up at the beginning of it, and now they were referrals, right?
Gotcha.
So by the end of the 10 days, it was referrals from
Yep.
people that had signed up, and it was $9.97 for lifetime, and
One-time fee or payment
yeah,
plan?
a one-time
One.
fee, because I definitely wanted some people that were in it with me for the long haul, that I felt were I didn't sell. So I sold 20 out of the 24, and really I
High
capped it
fucking
out.
conversion rate, dude.
Yeah, and well, it's really almost close to 100%, because of the four that didn't sign up, two of them were e-commerce, and I told them that I'm like, this isn't a good fit, right?
Yep.
This is like, you're not going to want the software. You can kind of run ads and make it work for your use case, but I'm not going to have a roadmap dedicated, and I don't want your feedback.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's good that you did that. You're taking out people that are not a good fit for your software.
Right.
You know who you serve.
Especially because I looked at it like I'm the main person servicing these initial group of users, because I have to train my
Right.
customer service manager, who I've hired and is learning from the demo calls, is learning from hopping on with these. But I want them to learn about the audience that we're serving, which is agencies that are trying to provide a specific service for local businesses, service businesses, local businesses. There's tens of millions of them out there that need this service, and they need paid ads, but the agency learning curve is too steep, right, to serve them. And there's not solutions that are really easy for the end user to use. So that's where the opportunity is creating a simple but effective platform to actually run an ad that converts at a local level, right?
Gotcha.
And yeah, so that's the conversion rate was great. I mean, people, the agencies, they got it, and it was the best thing for the business was to take them on, even though it made me a little stressed, because it's like inviting somebody over to your house, but like you didn't clean up, right? That's how it felt. And it's like, I'm that guy that I'm like, if somebody comes over, I want to have like, the food out, like, and like, I want everybody to have a great time, and to not be confused. Right.
Yep.
But like,
It's
inviting
part of it,
people
dude.
over.
It's part of the journey.
Yeah. And it
We were
is.
in beta. Dude, I remember when we launched Dashless and we were in beta, you let in 20 people, right? You said about 20
Yeah.
people?
Yeah.
Yeah. When we launched our beta program for V2, right? I'll talk about V2 now because it's more recent. We already had users that were using the platform for years, right? We had hundreds of users that were using the platform. Can you imagine moving over hundreds of users into a new platform, brand new, right? Just like you're doing, brand new platform with bugs, with the
Oof,
chaos. It was a fucking nightmare
I
for
can
like a
imagine.
good 3 months. And
Mm.
we learned a lot, which is great. The users went through it with us, which was really awesome. A lot of people supported us along the way, and that's just what the journey's all about, dude. And you make at the end of the road, you're just going to have a 10 times better product because you're building it with your users. Those 20 people, how are you collecting feedback? Do you have them in like a Slack group? Like, what are you doing
Well,
with
so,
them?
so I've been really responsive with them on Messenger directly, feedback,
Even
and,
better,
and just
dude.
kind of providing them service. That's why I capped it out at 20. I'm probably going to open up a couple more slots on a referral basis, and then I'll do a large push for a beta at a higher price point. I'm not going to do these lifetime deals forever, but I love bringing tranches of users in, and then it does help offset the developer cost, because we have a team of 7 that's working full time on this, and I want
Yep.
to add more, and I want to grow faster, right? So
Yep.
it helps fuel that. But the big value is just those 20 perspectives Now you got to take it with a grain of salt, because some people, they give feedback and it's just their use case, and like you can't serve every single use case, but you understand their mentality a little bit, even if some of the feedback you can't implement. But then you also have these conversations with feedback where it's like, whoa, that's a great idea, right? And getting a clear vision of what's important to them, instead of what all the assumptions, because you have to start with assumptions, and then the real data helps you weed through those assumptions a little bit more effectively and efficiently.
Got it.
And that's what's been great for it.
Dude, so 20 users in the beta. Obviously, you're going to be pushing through AdLaunch here. It seems like that's your main focus now moving forward.
Yeah.
What, where do you see yourself in the next 1, 2, 3 years? I know me and you have had previous conversations. We have our little bro group
Yeah.
of SaaS founders, which is really awesome. And like I remember you talking to me about funding. You asked me like, when is Dashlix going to get funding? I said,
Yeah.
honestly, we've been just kind of bootstrapping it the whole way through, and we've been having fun. It's been a thought, but we haven't really pulled the trigger or anything. Like, do you see yourself getting funding for AdLaunch? I know you said you come from the banking world, you're familiar with the space. Like,
Yeah.
that's what you want to do. You want to like throw basically gasoline on the fire, right? Is that
Yeah.
is
And
that
I
what you
think
want?
I think throwing gasoline on the fire, you want to have a controlled fire. You
For
want to
sure.
know, you don't want to just pour gasoline and then walk away. So, and setting the parameters of what the funding is going to go towards and what the clear vision is. Because right now, I look at AdLaunch in two phases. There's the phase of helping agencies provide an easy service to plug in ads and to make things simple, and to streamline it. And then there's the real product, which is performance, right? It's aggregating data. It's having you know automations in place that bring the performance to the next level
Yep.
using AI, machine learning. And I have some great, our team has the experience of doing this for Keller Williams with KW Command. So our team has already been through this ringer before to create a really high end, nationally recognized product. Now we're doing it for AdLaunch, and we want to take that to the next level. But the big part of it is implementing the AI and machine learning. If you have that clear plan where you know the data and how it can be used, the gasoline on the fire is that's where you want to pour the gasoline, right? And it's not like you can just hire an AI guy, an AI dev to come in and be like, oh, here's how you can make iterations of this. So we have somebody that's a high school friend of mine who's been uh, one of the top AI machine learning guys in his field for years now, and he's on our board. He's the only board member I have right now because I'm like, look, I need you to be part of this, and he's like involved to until he gets the green light of, okay, are we taking this to the next level? Because you
So you
have
have
to
to
have a
get
plan
product
with what
market.
you're going to do with the data.
You have to get like in order for me like, yeah, first of all you have to get product market fit in my opinion before you go through funding, and
Yeah,
usually they say that product market fit from a revenue standpoint you want to try to get to like at least between $1 to $2 million in gross sales. That, and obviously every company is different,
yeah,
but
yeah,
that's where you're like product market fit. Okay, people are paying to use it, we have some people that are sticking around, there's a need for it, people are actively using it, right? You start seeing some numbers and some trends with like LTV and ROAS when you're running ads and like things like that, right? You start seeing all those different SaaS metrics.
absolutely.
So are you going to wait until you get to, let's say, just as an example, $1 million in sales before you start raising maybe like a seed round or a Series A?
What's interesting is, um, I think, and I probably should get maybe have an advisor for this, but I don't even feel like I need it. I feel like I have a gut feeling as an entrepreneur at this point that I'm going to know when I'm ready to take on funding, and when I'm ready, I'll be able to get it. And if I'm not ready, then I'll never get it. Right? Like, so as soon as I feel that I'm ready, where it's like, okay, I can, number one, I can with confidence put a pitch together and not give 100% of my equity away to get. It's not a flyer at this point.
Yeah.
So I know what an investor needs as far as confidence because I've invested in projects in the past as well as an investor. And I know what a investor looks at for risk criteria. And, I want to make it a no-brainer for them where it's like, oh, well, clearly this works. Here's the right team in place. You just need fuel for the fire. And the thing that I'm looking for, because you can bootstrap that, obviously, there is a way to bootstrap almost any business. The reason I feel that it's not right for this business is because I feel like with the advancements in AI and machine learning, to get a foothold and to take market share,
Yeah, you got to move quick.
you have to move quick and you have to fail quickly, right? So if I'm bootstrapping, I'm looking at option A, option B. I might spend a week figuring out which option, right? Or maybe a couple of days. Whereas fail quickly,
I just did a podcast. I had Mikael Dia on from Funalytics.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think out of all the podcasts I did so far, his for me was my favorite one that I did personally because I was so interested about the topic. And he went through his whole funding story. It was like the story of like him thinking about fundraising, then
Yeah.
actually fundraising, then getting the funds, then failing, right?
Oh, wow.
Then failing, and then being in a situation where he's in right now and kind of like starting over, right?
Right.
It was such an insane story. He's doing great right now, but
Right.
Obviously there's a whole years of a journey in between that story, right? But it was insane to just hear like just the funding process alone. He told me it was like 8 months basically until he started looking till he actually had money in the bank. Right? Most companies can go out of business in 8 months. Like
Yeah.
that is a long time, right? So like
Yeah.
and then when he was funding, it's like the pressure from the board, the advisors, right? And he raised a total of $3.5 million.
Yeah.
Right? So it wasn't a small. He did like a seed round, then he did like I think a Series A, right? And he did like 1.5 and then 1.8 million, right, in two different rounds across. The first year was 1.5, and then I think he said like 18 or 20 months later, something like that, he did another 1.8, right? But dude, like
I bet it, I mean, it would be amazing. I bet it would be an amazing experience for him to be like, you know what? If I had that money today, if I started from scratch and had that money today, here's what I would have done. Like he probably has a completely different game plan.
You know what? He said all the things that he failed at and that he would have done different. Like that's why I think he was so vulnerable in that podcast that because he was sharing that information, I learned so much. And I think the viewers, like if you guys have not watched that podcast, by the time you're watching this podcast, Mikael's will already be out because I did it before this. Like, dude, take a rewind when you're done with this podcast. Just go backwards because Mikael Dia from Funalytics, that podcast was really inspiring.
I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna watch it when it comes out for sure.
dude, anybody who's like interested in just funding or understanding what happens when you're raising capital, not only for a SaaS company, it's for any business, right? You don't need to be a SaaS founder to go through funding, right? So it was inspiring, honestly. It was inspiring, and it was like motivational, and it was like just like eye opening. It was just all those crazy moments. It's all at the same time. We ended up, I think it was like almost an hour because I was like I just had so many questions.
Right.
I wanted to know like where did it go wrong, like, what happened, right? And so, anyways, okay, so just going back to topic, not to go too much off topic.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, but it was cool. It was a really cool experience for me, at least. So AdLaunch, you're here. You got 20 beta users, maybe possible funding in the near future, right?
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself going between now and the next 6 months? Like, what's like big items on like roadmap as far as feature wise? And like, I know you said that you have 7 developers full time, and you want to get more developers. And obviously, with development comes cost. You booked 24 people on your calendar, 20 people sold at $9.97 a pop. You made 20K so far in the last couple of weeks of just being open, right? But you know that you're going to need revenue in order to continue the development process.
Absolutely.
Right? So like, what's the game plan? Because you can't hold on to these lifetime users for months without, letting new people in and opening the doors and, making some money. Right. So
Absolutely.
What's like the goal? Where do you see yourself next 6 months?
I could see within a month, I believe I'll open up the doors for one more round of like lifetime deals.
How
maybe
many you think
20,
you'll let in? Another 20?
maybe another 20.
Okay.
And the thing is the better that the software gets, the easier it is to service the users, right?
Yeah.
So each round we're looking at, and maybe I would let in 30, you know.
Yeah.
But I want it to be manageable, get that next round of feedback. While we're doing these iterations of the software, it's becoming very clear where the focus needs to be. We're working on launching Google Ads platform, but also just perfecting, certain features that are important for people running Facebook ads.
Yeah.
Like there are some competitors out there that offer, different options, but it still doesn't seem like anybody's out there making it super clean, simple, guided process on how to do this with best practices. So there's still a big window of opportunity for just instead of going wide and adding a million different ad platforms.
Yeah, don't do that. That's the worst mistake in my opinion. And
Yeah,
because we experienced it in Dashlex, like we went so wide that it's so hard to manage. And now we're just like, you know what? Stop really quick. Let's go deeper into each one of, we call it apps, right? So like we have our
yeah,
deals app and our billing app. And so like we just in our mind we were like, let's just more apps, more apps, more apps. And we want like all these apps so you can come into Dashlex and just not have to do anything else. And we're like, dude, there's no way somebody would come into Dashlex and not have to use any other software in their business. I mean, let's be realistic for a second,
right,
right?
right.
You're gonna need other softwares, and it's funny. I'll tell you funny, not funny, but I'll tell you like a real lesson that I learned. I was watching a podcast, and I think it was from the owner. It was the CEO of, dude, what was that? The CEO, not Pipe Drive, not Bird Eye. It was Bird Eye's competitor. Oh, I'm going blank, dude. Anyways, it was a company that has like over 100,000 users, and they service small businesses, right? I'll probably get the name in a
Oh
second. I
wow,
was going
okay.
brain dead here, but I was listening to the podcast, and the person that was interviewing the CEO, he was like, "Hey, like, so you guys right now are solving the problem for small businesses because what they basically do is they help you focus on capturing leads and converting them. That's their thing, right?" So he was like, "Well, you guys focus on the first kind of the first." Like the first section of the sales cycle, right? It's like you're capturing leads, you're converting them,
Yeah,
and then there's all these other things what happens after you close a deal. There's like all of these other things that you need to do. And his response to this, I'll never forget. His response was, "Well, that's not our problem.
right.
Like we're not here to help you do those things. If you want to do those things, you can do it and you can integrate our software into those other platforms,
Yeah,
but we're not going to sit here and we're not going to worry about retention or like all of these other things.
yeah.
Like that's not what we're doing. Our mission is to help you get your leads and convert them better into sales.
When you
And that's
find
what
that
we're here
company,
to
let
do."
me know because that there's probably some lessons learned there because that's exactly what AdLaunch is about. Is we're solving the problem of agencies and their clients. It's a confusing process. It's hard to get ads that perform. It's hard to make it from start to finish, and to offer that for a couple of different platforms. We're just trying to solve that problem right now. And leads come in, and again, there's that same issue. So our goal is to not say, okay, well now we've got the leads, and what do our users want? Well, they'll value a CRM and all these nurture sequences. No, we're looking at how can we integrate with CRMs like DashClicks, right? Where if any of your users are plugged into AdLaunch and they can execute ads from the CRM, but we've integrated where when the leads come in, then any custom nurture
Podium.
sequences or anything that DashClicks would have would follow up, and that's not the problem we're trying to solve. We just want to
Yeah.
make sure that we can get the lead and get the results from the ad into the CRM.
And that company, by the way, is called Podium, the one I was referring to.
Yeah, that's right.
So
Okay.
yeah, Podium has they service over 100. I mean, this is a massive, massive company that's doing
Oh yeah, I'm
a couple
familiar with
hundred
it.
$1 million a year in sales, right? So like lessons learned there.
Yeah.
And I just like when I heard that statement, I was like, damn, dude, like that resonated with me so much because here I am trying to fix everybody's problems across the board for everything, and it's like, well, I don't need to fucking do that. I just need to do one thing really, really good and people can go buy other softwares for those things. I don't need to be like this all-in-one, like, don't use anybody else. It's just like, that's not what, you don't need to
Well,
do that.
and it's really, and I think has software designers and entrepreneurs, we get caught up a little bit about what we can provide, and we use that as a crutch, right? Because it's just like from owning the gyms. I learned this in owning the gyms for over 12 years, right? People don't sign up to gyms because it has the newest, equipment, or because it's got a treadmill with a TV or whatever. They do it because they want to, be healthy and lose weight and have, everybody has a reason. So all our software is it's providing a solution to a problem that there's a reason that they need it, right?
Yep.
And if you can resonate and empathize with your audience what that problem is, and they feel heard, oh, this person gets my problem, and I have a degree of certainty that they can solve it. It doesn't have to solve all of the sub problems that come along with it, right? It just has to solve the overall arching problem, and hopefully it does it really, really well.
Yeah, I agree, dude. So you said that you're going from Facebook, you're in the process of creating like a Google integration to be able to do the same thing with ads, but just on the Google side, right? Are you when you're done with Google, are you going to stop there and you're going to go deeper into both of those, or do you plan on going into?
We have an allocation of, there are team members that we have our roadmap of API integrations for additional platforms like LinkedIn and a few on the roadmap. And we're always going to be pushing forward to build those in parallel. But in our sprint cycles, because we do 2-week sprint cycles, every sprint cycle, we're putting about, I don't know if you guys use in your shop points. You guys
Story
assign
points?
point values to tasks or no?
Yeah, story points.
Yeah, story points. So, I'm just looking at increasing the amount of story points that we can handle in a sprint cycle, right?
Got you.
Right now it's about 50 or 60, right? I want to get that to be 120. I want to double that.
Are you referring to story points as one story point per hour? Is that what you're doing, or how are you?
Well, so being from an entrepreneur and a non-technical founder and working with a dev team, there's some trust involved, because as much as I'd like a point to equal something, it's really, and from everything we've looked at, it's really just they're assessing the task and assigning a complexity value almost to it.
Yep.
Because there is a range, once they dig into the coding, there's a range of how much time that's going to take. So if they try and tie a point value to an hour amount, it's never going to be a 1-to-1. But I think for the most part, and also we try and leave a buffer to handle any bugs that pop up, because those take priority, and we want to get those tasks done. What I've learned is we did the mistake of, I have these larger tickets that I really want to do on a roadmap, and the team's working on it, and then they're like, oh, you know what? We dug into this ticket, we did the R&D. This will make this sprint cycle too heavy, so we would suggest pushing it to the next sprint cycle. And so I did that the first couple of times, but then I learned you're always going to have those large overarching things. So
always.
So and you're always going to have a million things that you still want to get done that are priority, that are smaller. So what we've adopted is we take those larger tickets and we break it down into, say, you know what? We're going to put it on here. We need to get it done. We're going to get everything we can, and then we're going to roll the remaining points over to the next cycle. So that way we're not just starting from scratch, because if you take that out, then you have to replace it with a bunch of stuff that's not as priority anyway.
Yep.
To equal it out. So those are kind of the things that we're getting our process down for. And but it's exciting, man. I just love, there's nothing better than logging in and the team's worked hard and the features are live and things are working and people are like, oh wow, that's awesome.
It's awesome, dude. I love
solving problems, man.
When we push code usually on Tuesdays or Mondays and Fridays, I think. as like kind of like our push days. I could be wrong. It could be. I think it's actually Mondays and Thursdays, something like that. And whenever we push, I get basically, automated emails go out to me, and we use Teamwork Chat, so we have it integrated with Teamwork Chat where it pushes like the whole release basically into Teamwork Chat with like everything that was done,
I
and it
love that.
links
Yeah.
up to Jira and all that. So I'm like a kid in a candy store, dude. I swear. I'm like, all right, awesome. There was like 34 new tasks. That was like today we did a push. Um, and there was I don't know, maybe like 20 something tasks on there, and I
Yeah.
just go one by one, and I'm like, oh my god, they changed the font. Refresh the page. Here's a new font. Oh my god. I'm like,
Right. Right.
I'm
Right.
like, this is a new feature. Like even small stuff. It's like it's so cool because you see these tasks being put in, and some of these tasks, dude, have been worked on for months. Like we're launching a new feature that we were supposed to launch today, but there's a couple kinks, so it went live, but nobody knows it went live because I'm sure people know because they're in the dashboard, but I haven't announced it or done like an email blast, right? And it's basically templates for funnels. Like we built 150 templates over the last 6 months,
Oh, that's
and we're
awesome.
pushing that live. It's a massive feature that people have been waiting for, right?
Yeah.
So like today I go and I refresh, and I'm like, dude, fucking 6 months of work between a funnel builder building all the templates and us building out the whole functionality to even use templates and have a templates page and all that stuff. And it's
Yeah. I
like,
love
and
it.
you go there and there's just a new page in the dashboard called templates, and it's like it's really cool.
It's
You know?
gratifying to be able to serve your audience and to give them something they can make money with. And that's what I'm focused on is we're
Yep.
serving agencies. So ultimately we have to give them something they can make money with. So we look at things like every agency is going to have slightly, and I'm sure you deal with this, every agency is going to set up their shop slightly different,
Yep.
right? You know, they're going to have different needs, different services. They might be a done for you agency or a do it yourself agency through the software. So that's where I get excited to, figure out how the agency can go in and turn off and on features that create that client and experience that they're selling, and it matches what they're selling and matches the solutions as to what they're selling.
Yep.
So I think digging in over the next 6 months, like we talked about before, I'll do another release. I'll open up about 20 to 30 more spots, and then it's just going to be a public beta where it'll be marketed. Anybody that wants to come in, will do it. But I it's just the constant iterations and the way a lot of people ask. I don't know if they ask you this, like which because people don't know anything else to ask. I think it's kind of like at the gym. People would ask when they sign up for a gym membership, well, what kind of equipment do you have? Right? It's like they're only asking that because they don't know what else to ask. Right? They really just want to lose weight. Right? But they're just like, what kind of equipment? So if I have a Life Fitness versus like a hammer strength piece of equipment, is that going to help or hurt you anymore in your journey to
Yeah,
lose
they're not
weight?
gonna
No,
even know what the hell you're talking about.
they don't know what they're talking about. So a lot of times people, what are your competitive advantages, right? Versus whatever, right? And competitive advantages with software is interesting because if you're competing with people that are offering and serving a similar need, right? Everybody's going to have their own experience. You don't have to offer anything differently. You just have to listen and iterate on your roadmap to serve that audience. So my goal is to not try and say, hey, we're better because X, Y, and Z. We offer X, Y, and Z the best possible way we can, just like any other service or competitor. However, I believe, and what I'm excited about is over time, having these conversations and having our team. Like I was on a call today and I got some really, I'll give you a little tidbit. A feature to auto increase the radius until you meet a certain minimum audience size. That came from a call today, and we're going to be putting that I immediately put that on the roadmap. That's like, I want that as soon as possible, right? And one other one, and this is just from today, break down the radius into a tenth of a mile. Like right now, I didn't even think about it. But that makes a big difference when you're doing local marketing because it can expand just what you need to have the ad perform, right? So those types of rules and flexibility, those collectively are going to be our competitive advantage and our differentiators. But when you're at the beginning, you're just trying to create a core service that people that solves that problem just like your competitors do, while you're listening and iterating along the journey. So that's kind of what I look at for the next 6 months is we're just trying to create a quality software that listens to our audience and listens to our users.
Dude, well, you've done a phenomenal job. I remember when you demoed AdLaunch for me. It looks great, man.
Thanks, man.
So there's a lot more to come. I know we're heading out of time here, but dude, like your story has been inspirational. I know people are going to watch you. Roger, if anybody wants to get in touch with you, where's like the best place that they can reach you?
That's a good question. So on Facebook, I'm the only Yelvington with a Yelvington. I'm the only Roger Yelvington on Facebook. So
the only.
Yeah,
so
the only.
Facebook is where to go. Awesome, brother.
Yeah, Facebook or adlaunch.com. Right now, I'm still doing all of the demos. If anybody's interested in it, I'll hop on a call and go through. If you're seeing this and it's a little bit later and you saw this and you wanted to talk to me directly, in the notes of booking the demo, just be like, hey, I saw the interview with Chad and I'd love to talk to Roger about, a specific question or something.
Cool, man.
More than happy to jump on calls because I love this. I love solving these problems. I love talking to people that are interested in it and geeking out about it. So,
love it, brother. Well, I'm sure we will see you on a future episode to see how your milestones keep hitting. Thank you so much for your time, Roger, and we will see you on the next one.
All right. Thanks, Chad. Take care, man.
Bye. Hey, do you want more of the Behind the Revenue podcast? Look, join our private Facebook group where marketing agencies from all over the world are sharing strategies, network, and scale their businesses together. Visit facebook.com/groups/-clicks to get instant access. And also, if this podcast helped you in any way, please do me a favor, share it with friends, leave us a review on iTunes or Spotify. That really helps build our community.